Namaste, Dosto. Welcome back to class. So today we're going to tackle a really important topic, social responsibility and ethics. Now, this is a subject that really gets to the heart of how a business should relate to society. What is its role? What are its duties? So let's get right into it.
Okay, so before we dive into all the theories and the laws, we first need to get a really solid grip on the basics. What exactly do we mean by social responsibility? What's the core idea here? Let's build that foundation first. All right, let's break this definition down piece by piece. The first part says the objective of managers is not merely to maximize profits. This is key. It means a manager's job isn't just about making money. That's the old way of thinking. So what is it then? Well, the definition continues, but also to serve and protect the interests of other members of a society. Now notice those two words, serve and protect. Serve means to provide good things like quality products, and protect means to prevent harm, like not polluting the environment. And whose interests are we talking about? The workers, the consumers, and the entire community. Now this is a very famous definition from the World Business Council. And there are two words here that are just so important. Continuing commitment. Think about that. It means CSR isn't a one-time thing. It's not like you make a donation and you're done. No, it's an ongoing promise, a constant commitment that the company will always act responsibly. A promise to do what? To behave ethically, to contribute to the country's economic growth, and at the same time, to improve the quality of life for its employees, their families, and for society as a whole.
The idea of CSR is global, but different places see it in slightly different ways. For example, in Ghana, the focus is on creating sustainable livelihoods, giving people skills so they can earn a living for a long time, not just giving them a handout for a day. In the Philippines, it's seen more simply as business giving back to society. You take from society, so you must give back. And according to Baker, it's about managing your business in such a way that you have a positive impact on society. Let me give you a simple example. Imagine your neighborhood grocery store owner. If he decides to help pay for the education of a few poor kids in the area, well, that's CSR on a small scale right there. Okay, this is a very interesting concept, the social contract. Now, this isn't a written document. It's more of an unwritten agreement, an understanding between a business and the society it operates in. So what does society give? It gives the business resources like land, water, people, it gives it permission to operate, and it buys its products. In return for all that, and this is the quid pro quo, the something for something, what does the business promise? It promises to act responsibly, to not harm society, and to contribute to its well-being. That right there is the social contract.
So up until now, we've understood what CSR is. Now let's move on and see how companies think about it, because different companies can have very different approaches. We're going to discuss the three main theories that explain and guide a company's thinking on CSR. To really understand CSR, you can think of these three theories as the three main pillars. The first is the Corporate Social Responsibility theory itself. The second is the stakeholder theory, and the third is the triple bottom line. Let's look at each one of them in detail. So the first theory is the CSR theory. And the most important word here, the key word, is discretional. Discretional simply means by your own choice. It means there's no legal pressure on the company. It chooses to do good for society voluntarily. It contributes its own corporate resources, like its money, its employees' time, or its technology. For example, if a big IT company decides to open a free computer training center near its office for local youth, that is a discretional practice. Nobody forced them to do it. Now for the second one, the stakeholder theory. First things first, who is a stakeholder? Well, a stakeholder is any person or group that is affected by the company's actions. That includes employees, customers, suppliers, and even the local community. This theory says that a company shouldn't just think about its owners, the shareholders. It has to consider the interests of all its stakeholders. Think of it like a family. When a father makes a big decision, he doesn't just think about himself. He thinks about his wife, his children, everyone. In the same way, a company must listen to and take care of all its stakeholders. Their voice matters. And the third theory is the triple bottom line. This is a very modern way of thinking. In the old days, a company's success was measured by just one thing: profit. How much money did you make? But this theory says, wait a minute, there should be three measures of success. The first is people. What is the company's impact on its people and on society? The second is planet. How well is the company taking care of our environment? And the third, of course, is profit. So the new formula for success is people, planet, and profit. You need a balance of all three. You see, any discussion about CSR is incomplete without talking about ethics. Why? Because CSR tells you what to do, but ethics tells you why you should do it and how you should do it.
Ethics is like a moral compass, that little needle that always points you toward what is right and what is wrong. And every single business decision should be guided by it.
So what exactly is ethics? Ethics, which is also called moral philosophy, is basically the study of good and bad conduct. It does three things. It systematizes, meaning it creates rules about right and wrong. It protects those rules, and it prescribes, meaning it tells us what we ought to do. In simple words, it's the set of rules that teaches us what is right and what is wrong in human behavior.
Okay, let's look at this diagram carefully. Moral philosophy is broken down into three parts. Right at the top, you have meta-ethics. This asks the most fundamental questions, like, what does it even mean for something to be good? It's the foundation. In the middle, we have normative ethics. This gives us the theories and frameworks on how we should behave, answering the question, what should I do? And finally, at the bottom, we have applied ethics, which takes all those theories and applies them to real-life situations, like business ethics or medical ethics.
This diagram here, you can think of it as the heart of business ethics. At the very center, you see business ethics, and all the words around it are the components that make it up. Things like trust, principle, reliability, morality, choice, and relationship. And you can see they are all interconnected. A business that you can't trust, or a business that doesn't operate on principles, simply cannot be called an ethical business.
Over time, there has been a huge shift, a massive change in how we view corporate responsibility. It's been a real paradigm shift. So let's compare the old way of thinking with the new, modern approach. Look at the difference here. The traditional view said a business is a property institution. Basically, it's just the property of its owners, and its one and only goal is to make a profit for them. The motto was, just make money. The modern view, on the other hand, says a business is a social institution, and that changes everything. It means a company can't just focus on profits anymore. It has duties to society, to make good products, to treat its employees well, to protect the environment. The new motto is, make money, but also do good for society. And this diagram shows that new way of thinking perfectly. In the past, businesses would think about their shareholders first, but now that whole hierarchy has been flipped upside down. According to this diagram, a responsible business's number one priority is its responsibility towards nature. After that comes society in general. Then come the other stakeholders like suppliers and banks, and right at the end of the list are the shareholders. This is a massive, massive shift in thinking. It's a complete reversal. Okay, so we've covered a lot of these global concepts. Now let's bring the conversation back home, to our own country, India. Because India is one of the few countries in the world where CSR is actually the law.
Before CSR became a law in India back in 2009, the government issued these National Voluntary Guidelines. The key word here is voluntary. It was up to the companies to follow them or not. It was like a guidebook, a set of recommendations, telling companies they should care for stakeholders, work ethically, respect workers' rights, and protect the environment. This was really the first step towards making it a law.
But then, in 2013, everything changed. The Companies Act of 2013 was a true game changer. This law made CSR mandatory for certain companies in India. It was no longer a choice. It went from being voluntary to being a legal requirement. And if you don't comply, there are penalties.
So, which companies does this law apply to? Let's look at this table very carefully. If a company meets even one of these three conditions, CSR becomes mandatory for them. The first condition, if the company's net worth is 500 crore rupees or more. The second condition, if its turnover or annual sales is 1,000 crore rupees or more. Or the third condition, if its net profit is 5 crore rupees or more.
And how much do these companies have to spend? This number is very important, so please remember it. Any company that falls under this law must spend at least 2% of its average net profit from the last 3 years on CSR activities. Now just think about that. For these huge companies, 2% of their profits is a very significant amount of money, and it has given a major boost to social development in India.
All right, so let's quickly sum up the key takeaways from today's session. First, social responsibility means that a business is not just about making profits, it's also about doing good for society. Second, modern ideas like the triple bottom line measure success using 3 factors: people, planet, and profit. And third, and most importantly for us in India, thanks to the Companies Act of 2013, CSR is now a legal responsibility for large companies.
And now, I want to leave you with a question to think about. Now that CSR is a law in India, do you think it is genuinely creating a positive change in our society? Or has it just become another tax that businesses are forced to pay? Give that some thought. Thank you for joining the class today. And if you learned something new, please subscribe to Micro Mindset for more updates. Thank you.